Why is it that the man who never asks, "Do you like me? Are we exclusive? Or where is this going?" ends up being the one she thinks about at night, while the man who is always available, always clear about his feelings, always trying to do things right, ends up ignored, used, or placed safely in the friend zone? Sit with that for a second. Because if you feel that you have to ask for attention, negotiate your place in her life, or search for constant reassurance, what you are living is not bad luck. You are breaking again and again the silent rules of emotional attraction. This is what we are going to do right now. I am going to speak to you as a man to another man. No sugarcoating, no romantic fantasies, no weak advice about just be yourself and wait for the right person. We are going to talk about something uncomfortable, but absolutely necessary: the art of emotional manipulation. Not the toxic kind based on lies, trauma games, and emotional abuse. That is coward behavior. What you are going to learn here is something very different: how to control your emotional impact in a woman's mind in a conscious, strategic, and responsible way. You will stop being emotionally manipulated, and you will become the man who creates desire instead of begging for it. Let's begin with a brutal truth. Every time you ask for desire, you kill it. Every time you ask, "Do you still like me? Why didn't you reply? Are we okay?" you surrender your power. You stop being the man who creates an emotional experience, and you become the man who asks for emotional permission. The female brain is not wired to feel deep attraction for a man who is asking to be chosen. It is wired to feel attraction for the man who already moves as if he is a prize, as if he is a choice, as if his presence has weight and value with or without her approval. So what is emotional manipulation in a healthy, strategic sense? It is the ability to influence how someone feels in your presence, while staying authentic and respecting their boundaries. Seduction, when it is healthy, is not about words. It is about emotional states. She does not remember every sentence you said. She remembers how she felt when she was with you. If she felt excited, challenged, seen, slightly off balance but safe at the same time, her body will associate you with desire. If she felt pressure, guilt, emotional neediness, or constant anxiety coming from you, her body will associate you with obligation or discomfort. Desire does not grow in obligation. Desire grows in emotional tension and freedom. That brings us to the second truth. Desire is not created by logic. It is created by tension. Not drama for the sake of chaos, but a specific kind of inner tension between what she feels now and what she could feel if she steps deeper into your world. There is always a gap between her current emotional reality and the emotional possibilities she imagines with you. When you manage your energy, your silence, your boundaries, and your mystery correctly, that gap becomes the engine of desire. When everything about you is too clear, too available, too predictable, her curiosity dies. When there is a mix of warmth, challenge, calmness, and intelligent distance, her desire grows almost against her will. That design of desire starts with you, not with her. Before talking about messages, phrases, or psychological techniques, you need to look inward. If inside you there is desperation, fear of abandonment, and an obsessive need for approval, no technique will save you. Your words might sound confident, but your energy will always betray you. The female nervous system is extremely quick at picking up nonverbal signals. She feels inconsistencies between what you say and what you really are. She feels when your confident tone is just a mask for insecurity. The first level of ethical emotional manipulation is self-regulation, mastering your own state. A calm man with standards, a man who respects himself when he is alone, is already manipulating his environment in his favor without saying a word. His energy is rare, and the human brain tends to assign high value to anything that is rare. Ask yourself honestly, when you are attracted to a woman, do you immediately alter your behavior for her? Do you text more often, respond faster, cancel important plans, over-explain everything you do, just to avoid losing her interest? That is emotional self-betrayal. Every time you betray yourself to not lose someone, your presence becomes cheaper. You feel like you are showing care, but what she feels is that you are selling your self-respect for temporary attention. A man who creates desire does not lower himself to be accepted. He does not run after anyone who is walking away without reason. He observes, he calibrates, and he decides, is this interaction worthy of my emotional energy? That simple internal decision completely changes how you walk, how you talk, how you listen, and how you respond. One of the most powerful principles in attraction psychology is the exchange of value and validation. Most men play this game backwards. They give validation first, in excess, without any calibration. Constant compliments, constant attention, constant emotional availability. They throw their value onto the table, hoping that she will pay with desire and commitment. It does not work that way. In a healthy dynamic, you reward investment, not potential. You do not give deep validation because she is attractive or because you feel lonely. You validate based on how she shows up, how she respects your time, your presence, and your standards. This is where healthy emotional manipulation appears clearly. You decide when and how to validate. You do not validate from fear, you validate from choice. When you praise everything, your praise means nothing. When you praise selectively, calmly, and only after she invests or behaves in a way you genuinely value, your approval becomes a reward. The emotional system is wired to respond strongly to unpredictable rewards. When your attention and your validation are always available, always immediate, always predictable, there is no tension. When your presence is warm but not automatic, when your responses are honest but not desperate, when your validation is real but not free, her mind starts asking, what does this man really think of me? What else is there inside him? That question is the beginning of psychological attraction. Another crucial element in creating desire is contrast. Without contrast, there is no impact. If you are always pleasant, always agreeable, always adapting, never setting limits, never disagreeing, you become emotionally flat. The female psyche needs contrast to differentiate you from every other man. That does not mean you must be aggressive or rude. It means you need to be capable of both warmth and firmness, kindness and authority, humor and seriousness. When you only operate in one mode, the nice, gentle, always understanding man, she experiences you as safe, but not exciting. On the other hand, if you only show toughness without sensitivity, you might create tension, but no emotional safety. Without safety, desire cannot deepen. You want to embody something very specific: calm intensity. Calm, because you are not desperate. Intense, because you are fully present. Calm intensity feels like this. You look at her when she speaks, and you truly listen. You are not thinking about the next clever line. You are not performing. You are there. You do not rush to fill every silence. You are fine with silence. You do not joke away every sincere moment. You allow space. You maintain eye contact. And you do it from grounded stillness, not from restless hunger. That extra second of presence, when it comes from a relaxed body and a strong mind, creates a charge in the air. That is emotional manipulation, in a clean way. You are using presence, not pressure. You are giving her internal space to feel something, without forcing a script on her. You are not asking, tell me that you like me. You are letting the moment speak for you. Another behavior that destroys your emotional power is over-explaining. When you constantly justify your actions, your preferences, your limits, you are sending a hidden message: I am afraid that you will not approve of me, so let me prove that I am not a bad guy. Attraction is not created by endless explanations. Attraction is created by clarity plus mystery. Clarity means she knows who you are, what you want, and what you do not tolerate. Mystery means she does not know every detail of your past, your fears, your emotional wounds, and your plans in the first days or weeks. Emotional manipulation in a healthy way here means this: you share enough to be real, but you do not dump your entire emotional history on her. You decide when to reveal a deeper layer. When you choose the timing and the depth of your vulnerability, you control the emotional rhythm of the interaction. Time management is another silent form of emotional manipulation that most men misuse. Many men treat their time as if it has no value. They answer instantly, they are always available, they drop everything for a message, they cancel their own plans for any last-minute change. That is not being a gentleman, that is being a resource. A man who creates desire is generous with his attention but selective with his time. He does not ignore people for sport, and he does not follow childish rules like always wait 3 hours before replying. He simply organizes his life around his purpose, his work, his training, his growth, his rest. From there, he shares his time. When she feels that your life does not revolve around her, that you already had a meaningful direction before meeting her, she feels respect and curiosity. Respect, because you do not sell your time for a tiny bit of affection. Curiosity, because she wants to be part of that world, but she senses she must earn a place in it. Let's go deeper into the mental frame that separates the man who creates desire from the man who begs for it. The begging frame sounds like this: I hope she chooses me. I hope I do not mess this up. I hope she does not leave. All your attention is focused on not losing her. The creating frame sounds like this: Is this woman compatible with my values? How does she respond to my standards? How do I feel about the man I become around her? All your attention is focused on choosing, not only on being chosen. That internal shift is visible. It shows in your body language, in your tone of voice, in your willingness to say no without panic, in your ability to walk away from situations that do not respect you. A man who does not live for approval moves differently. That way of moving manipulates the emotional field around him without words. People adapt to his presence, instead of him constantly adapting to everyone else. One of the most powerful techniques that is rarely taught as a technique is congruence. Congruence means your words, your emotions, and your actions are aligned. Many men try to say confident things while feeling needy inside. That dissonance is noticeable. Healthy emotional manipulation here is about realigning your inner message with your outer behavior. If you say you are busy but you are constantly online and ready to respond, she sees the inconsistency. If you say you do not want drama but you react explosively to every test, she sees the inconsistency. If you say you have standards but you tolerate repeated disrespect just to keep her, she sees the inconsistency. Congruence is attractive because it is rare. And again, what is rare is perceived as valuable. You also need to understand something that many men interpret in a childish way. Women will test your emotional stability, not because they are evil, not because every woman enjoys causing pain, but because their unconscious needs to know how solid you are. A test can appear as a small delay in answering, a sarcastic comment, a little contradiction, an emotional withdrawal. A man who begs for desire will react with anxiety, anger, or submissive apology. A man who creates desire notices the test, stays centered, and responds consciously. He does not collapse, but he also does not start a war. He answers from calm clarity. That response is a powerful emotional signal. This man does not break easily, and stability combined with mystery is one of the strongest formulas for deep attraction. Language is another tool for emotional control. The words you choose can raise or lower tension. Most men talk to fill space, to avoid silence, or to show off their intelligence. They over-explain, they exaggerate, they talk non-stop. A man who understands emotional impact speaks differently. He can be playful and light, but when he wants to mark something important, he simplifies his words. He slows down his voice. He allows silence before and after a key sentence. He uses fewer words but with more intention. When you control rhythm and silence, you are literally guiding the emotional waves of the interaction. That is manipulation in the sense of guiding, shaping, directing. The problem is not that you influence her emotions. The problem is when you do it unconsciously, from fear, instead of doing it consciously from self-respect. Modern communication habits make this even more critical, especially in messaging. Many men lose all their power in chat. They treat messages as the main battlefield. They try to solve every emotional tension, every misunderstanding, every definition of the relationship over text. They send paragraphs explaining how they feel, analyzing every detail, forcing sincerity in a medium that naturally lacks depth. A man who understands emotional impact uses messaging differently. He sees it as a bridge, not the house. The goal of text is to maintain a light, engaging tension and coordinate real-life interactions, not to carry the whole relationship on its back. That means you do not write novels, you do not initiate heavy emotional discussions in the middle of the night, and you do not beg for clarity through your phone. You keep your messages intentional, direct, and simple. If she takes time to answer, and you have things to do, you continue with your life. You are not glued to the screen analyzing her timing. You are not sending nervous follow-up messages. You are not reading old chats 20 times trying to decode hidden meanings. That emotional independence is felt. It manipulates the situation in your favor, because it shows you are not emotionally owned by a notification. There is another key idea. You do not chase emotions, you evoke them. Many men try to force a specific emotion in a woman. They want her to laugh, to feel impressed, to feel sexually charged, to feel romantic right now. So they push. Too many jokes, too much flirting, too much intensity. That usually backfires. Instead, you want to create a space where certain emotions are more likely to appear. For example, if you constantly complain, gossip, and talk about everything that is wrong in your life, you create a field of heaviness. It will be very hard for her to feel desire inside that field. On the other hand, if you speak from a combination of grounded honesty, direction, humor, and emotional responsibility, you create a field of respect and attraction. You are not forcing her to feel anything. You are shaping the atmosphere. She chooses whether she wants to stay in that atmosphere or not. There is another element that almost completely decides whether you will be the one who leads the emotional game or the one who is dragged by it: your relationship with rejection. If you fear rejection intensely, you are the one being manipulated. Every move you make becomes a strategy to avoid losing. When your brain is in that survival mode, it is almost impossible to be attractive. You are too reactive. You interpret everything as a threat. You are hyper-focused on every micro-signal, chasing confirmation. The paradox is that you become most attractive when you accept the possibility of losing anyone who cannot meet your standards of connection, not from arrogance, but from self-respect. When you know your life has meaning, direction, and joy with or without a particular woman, you stop begging. You stop negotiating your values. And when you stop begging, your energy reorganizes. You walk differently. Your voice changes. Your eyes change. You stop asking, "What do I have to do so that she wants me?" And you start asking, "Do I like the man I become when I am around her?" From that place, emotional manipulation changes its quality. It is not how do I make her feel something specific, but how can I bring my strongest, most grounded self into this interaction and let her emotional system respond naturally. You still use strategies. You manage your time, your words, your presence, your touch. But now everything comes from your center, not from your fear. That is the difference between conscious seduction and toxic manipulation. Toxic manipulation uses lies, guilt, gaslighting, and emotional punishment. Conscious influence of your emotional impact is about controlling your own behavior, creating healthy tension, and allowing both of you to choose from a clear place. If the connection grows, it grows. If it doesn't, you have the strength to walk away. Boundaries are one of the clearest expressions of clean emotional manipulation. A boundary is not an attack. It is a description of how you operate. When you say and live things like, "I do not tolerate insults during disagreements," or "I do not cancel my training or work frequently for anyone," or "I do not stay in situations where I am repeatedly ignored," you are reshaping the emotional field. You are saying, "This is the standard of behavior that exists around me." That alone influences how people show up. Some will move away because they cannot handle it. Others will adjust. But everyone will feel that you are not emotionally cheap. Bring in a Stoic perspective here, because real emotional strength always has a Stoic flavor. A Stoic man accepts that he cannot control what someone feels, but he can control what he thinks, what he says, and what he does. Creating desire from this mindset means not losing yourself when you are attracted to someone. You watch your own mind when it feels jealous, insecure, obsessive, or overly attached. You do not deny those feelings, but you do not worship them either. You observe them, you breathe, and you choose your next move based on your values, not on your panic. That inner discipline creates a calm presence, and calm presence in a chaotic dating environment is extremely attractive. What does all this look like in simple, practical behaviors? It looks like this. When you are with her, you are genuinely present. You are not trying to impress her with every sentence. You do not hide behind a performance. You ask real questions because you are actually curious. You listen and let her finish. You are not afraid to show disagreement with respect. If she says or does something that crosses your limits slightly, you do not smile and swallow it. You name it in a calm way. If she pulls back emotionally for a moment, you do not chase with panic. You keep your posture, your breath, and your direction. You might change the subject. You might mirror the distance a little, or you might say directly, "I feel you went a bit cold just now. Did something shift?" That kind of honest, centered communication manipulates the interaction toward clarity instead of confusion. And when she shows genuine interest, when she initiates contact, asks about you, remembers important details, touches you more, your inner reaction is not finally, "Someone likes me, I must hold on to this at any cost." You do not collapse into gratitude. You receive it as something natural. You respond. You enjoy it. You may move a little closer, but you stay grounded. You still have a life. You still have a direction. You are still willing to walk away if the dynamic becomes unhealthy. Start seeing every interaction as a lab of emotional states. Instead of thinking, "What should I say to make her like me?" ask, "What state am I creating right now?" Are you creating pressure or space? Are you creating calm intensity or anxious chaos? Are you creating clarity or confusion? Are you creating a sense of being grounded or a sense of desperation? When you become aware of this, you automatically become the emotional leader. And the emotional leader is always more attractive than the emotional follower. Consistency is also a huge part of this. A man who sometimes is strong and other times collapses into insecurity without any awareness creates instability. But a man who is consistently self-respecting, consistently clear, consistently responsible for his emotions becomes extremely magnetic over time. She knows you will not scream or insult her, even during conflict. She knows you will not accept constant disrespect. She knows you will not disappear randomly without explanation. She knows your basic line of behavior. Within that line, you can still be surprising, playful, and spontaneous. That combination of predictability in values and unpredictability in details is a powerful foundation for ongoing desire. So from now on, every time you feel the urge to ask for something that can only be inspired, love, desire, respect, deep validation, pause. Before asking, "What are we?" ask yourself, "What have I truly created emotionally in this connection?" Before asking, "Do you still like me?" ask, "What man have I shown her? A man who chooses himself, or a man who is begging to be chosen?" Before trying to convince her of your worth, ask, "Am I actually living my worth, or am I only talking about it?" You are not on this planet to be an emotional beggar. You are here to become a man whose presence naturally generates desire, a man whose eyes are steady, whose words are aligned with his actions, whose time has value, whose standards are clear, whose peace is not for sale. A man who understands that he never has to say, "Please want me," because his energy, his self-respect, and his calm intensity already speak that language. Create the desire. Do not ask for it. Stop chasing feelings in others and start generating them inside yourself. The true art of emotional manipulation begins the moment you decide to lead your own inner world first. When you own your attention, your reactions, your time, and your standards, you stop orbiting around other people's moods. You become the center of gravity. And when you become the center of gravity, people feel it. They lean in. They adjust. They wonder. They desire.